Pendulum test is a measure of friction, of slip resistance. It's the only test that's recognised in the UK. It's in a British standard, it's also in a European standard. It's been established for a long time now, at least 60 years. The test is a measurement of friction, which can be turned into slip resistance, and that can be evaluated in terms of the risk of somebody slipping at any particular level. We would normally do a test in the dry, as found condition. We'd then do tests in the wet condition, and then depending on where you are, you might do some additional tests. If you were in a food factory, for example, you might want to do a test with grease on the floor or the product on the floor. In another situation, you might want to do a test with some dry contamination on the floor, so some dust, or again, if you go back to the food example, to maybe a flavouring, a powder, flour, something like that, sugar getting onto the floor. So if you were running a hotel, you might want to make sure that certain areas, the toilets, the entrance area, the swimming pool surround, if you've got one, the bathrooms in the hotel rooms, the floors, the surfaces in those situations had adequate slip resistance. There's actually nowhere does it say every surface has to have a particular level of friction. What the legislation says is you need to manage the risk. But when you use the pendulum, you understand how the surface behaves, so you can begin to identify the controls that are available to you. So the point about the pendulum is it gives you valid data. It gives you data that tells you something useful. If the pendulum suggests that the floor is likely to be slippery, there's likely to be a problem. The thread of the story that goes through the guidelines that the group that write the methodology that the pendulum follows picks up on this idea that it's a risk assessment based approach. So get in there, understand how your surface behaves, understand whether the cleaning process is effective or not. Think about what people are doing on the floor. Are they moving slowly? Are they moving quickly? Are they twisting? Are they turning? Are they carrying loads? Are they pushing or pulling loads? And take all of these things into consideration, and you decide what the risk is and how the risk might be affected if you tweaked or improve some of the controls. But the first thing to do is identify what controls are available, and to do that you need an accurate, valid test. Third direction in the dry, 60, 60, 60, 60. Sometimes it's very simple things, but not necessarily obvious to the people that are responsible. And I think through the experience that Bonasystems have got, through myself and others, they can offer that sort of advice.